Kathmandu. The Ka Nying Shedrip Ling Monastery. A stifling and gloomy place. Those who will be participating they are still only children. Their hunger and poverty. They will not work, and they will beg for food. And they will have do all this in the name of a superstition, in order not to be reborn as a full of super Buddhist. Buddhism is such an enormous regards people themselves as a virtue. People from life and superstition. For Buddhists who spend their days in pointless rituals, life is always dark and stagnant. Furthermore, amongst all these rituals, Buddhism causes people to deny him. Islam, on the other hand, totally opposes this distorted. It offers people a rational, restorative life. Quite unlike Buddhists, by the moral values of Islam are always productive, happy. Of all, those who live by the moral values of Islam draw close to God, the Lord, as possible for human beings, the good pleasure of God. The religion of Buddhism and its irrational practices. The road to peace and in the 6th century BC, the Aryans. The dominant religion in the country was that of the Aryans, Brahmanism. The Aryans implemented in the country. Society was divided. Brahmin priests and ruthlessly oppressed the people. A son was born to Prince Suddhodana family, Siddhartha. Siddhartha spent his youth in ease and plenty. When he reached the age of 29, however, living in, and turned to a mystical quest, as a result of which he set out certain principles. These principles arose in northeast India, throughout Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, China, Tibet, Mongolia, Manchuria, India, and Nepal. Today, it has about 300 followers. The word Buddha means the awakened or enlightened one, signifying the spiritual heights that Siddhartha Gautama is. And Siddhartha is remembered by that name. Buddha chose to speak about his basic tenets and hand. The teachings of Buddha were handed on from generation to generation, in oral form only. This teaching was then Pali Canon. The text regarded as sacred by Buddhism today is the Buddhist priests perform their ceremonies and organize their lives according to this text. The only trying to train their souls by living lives full of poverty and suffering. Buddhists have so concentrated on those matters that they are totally unaware of a far more important truth. That truth Many people who lack a comprehensive knowledge of Buddhism imagine that the aim in Buddhism is the worship of a creator, as in the revealed religions. The truth, however, is very different. Buddhism is a teaching which totally ignores the existence of God. For that, one of the main reasons for this is the narrow-mindedness of Buddhism. Buddhists build their lives on suppressing human various rituals. They never consider the question of how the universe, living things, and human beings came into existence. Unaware of the existence and infinite might of the Almighty God, creator of the universe and all living things. As well as being atheist, Buddhism is also a pagan religion. In other words, it worships idols. The idol in question being Buddha himself. The process of turning Buddha into an idol began immediately after his death. Priests set about making him divine. They adorned the places they lived in with great statues of the Buddha, and then superstitiously worshipped these idols they had made with their own hands. Built temples in which the Buddha's eyes were depicted. Believed that the Buddha could see everywhere and constantly watch people. Buddhism, an atheist religion, is unaware of the truths of the teaching of revealed religions such as Islam. The most important characteristic of revealed religions is that they regard God as the one and only. In the Quran, God reveals that your God is one God, so submit to Him. Buddhists, however, deny God and irrationally make an idol out of Buddha, a helpless and... In other words, they ascribe partners to God. In hundreds of places in the Quran, God reminds us that this association is a very serious sin. God has revealed that He will never forgive those who ascribe partners to Him in one verse. God does not forgive anything being associated with Him, but He forgives whoever He wills for any that. Anyone who associates something with God committed a terrible crime. Many people believe that Buddhism is a comforting, peace-giving religion. This, however, is a great error. Because that which Buddhism regards as a virtue consists reason. This religion Buddhism. For Buddhist monks and nuns, life is full of all kinds of They feed themselves by going from door to door and begging among the people. For this reason, Buddhist priests are even which means beggars by the people. Buddhist priests are forbidden to marry they eat only a day. This meal generally consists of bread and rice. It is forbidden to eat such things as meat or fruit. Wishes people to take advantage of and for suffering on people who live by the moral values of the Quran life always animate. God reveals inflict suffering on themselves. Wrong themselves. Tibet. Where Buddhism rules. There are many temples here. They are all decorated with gold and precious stones and extravagant sign of the respect felt. Display and wealth, however, is in sharp contrast to the poverty of the people. Laos, Nepal, India. Buddhism is also widespread in these countries. And poverty-ridden peoples. In short, justice, poverty. One of the most striking aspects This instrument occupies an important place in Buddhist ritual. The Jokhang Temple. People are performing of the Buddha, they fall of their twisted pagan religion. Buddhists in this temple down from their forefathers, never questioning them in any way. And turning prayer wheels of flags outside Buddhist temples. These are prayer flags. According to Buddhist superstitious beliefs, the prayers written on these flags imagine that they have the Buddhist beliefs is a those Buddhists who deny the existence of who they are praying to. Buddhists entering their temples worship the statues of the Buddha. They offer them flowers and incense. Buddhists regard all these rituals as a way to salvation, but they are gravely mistaken. Because the statues of the Buddha, to which they burn incense and make wishes, can neither see nor hear them. The warnings that the prophets issued to pagans in the past also apply, therefore, to present-day Buddhists. When he, Ibrahim, said to his father and his people, "We found our fathers worshipping them," he said, "You and your fathers are clearly if Buddha were to think, they would see what a terrible mistake they are making. Just like God also created Buddha. Served as the Almighty. Gods which cannot create, which are not rejects the life of the is engraved regarding life after death. Unfillable gaps thus arise in Buddhists' internal lives and deep wounds in their minds. Of reincarnation. According to the belief, they are reborn in different bodies after death. In other words, a person returns to earth after he. According to the belief in karma, a person will inevitably be rewarded in his next life for all the things he does in the course of this. That a bad person can even come back if so, judges a person's former life and sends him back into the world in a new body. How, according to this belief which denies the existence of God, does the process of karma work? Questions. Because there is nothing, even if karma may appear at first people some positive, it in fact leads them to great is. Sickness, moral impurity, punishment for a previous life. For example, the reason why or handicap all the bad things that person did in his previous life come back as poverty in this one. In Islam, however, people's weaknesses are no crime. For this reason, Islam has a very can also be found in Christianity and Judaism, which come from the same. The belief in which can be found in other Far Eastern demolishes justice to oppressed people further. System practice of years and divides society into groups found its philosophical basis in the myth of karma. According to Islam, reincarnation is also a great myth. According to the Quran, there is a life in this world and an eternal life in the hereafter. It is impossible to come to earth more than once. In one verse, we are told the following about death and resurrection. God, when you were dead, and then He gave you life. to him. In other words, the base of human creation is inanimate substances such as earth and God later gives life to this inanimate mass. Has been brought to life to an end, and he dies. End of his life. He turns to the earth and decays back into the soil. That is the second time a human being enters the state of death. Finally, he will be resurrected and give a he did in this world. In the Quran, God says that after a human only one death. They will not taste any death there. First one, he will safeguard them from the punishment of the blazing fire, a favor from your Lord. 3. The Western Buddhism century. By the second, Buddhism had become really fashionable. The culture of the 1960s in particular supported the religion and made it Western youth and during those years a Christian belief and began a new search. They turned to the George Harrison, a member of the famous band The Beatles, turned to Hinduism, pagan belief. In the wake of that, the Beatles fans interest in that teaching. John Lennon used Buddhist mantras During those years, Buddhist melodies, clothing, and pronouncements became the fashion. Many young people felt an interest in Buddhism out of mere imitation, its mythical teachings. Buddhists' unusual clothing, haircuts, and rituals which logic and caused people trouble and difficulties for became the fashion amongst attention seekers. Over the ensuing years, Buddhism was imposed on Western society through popular cultural expressions. In this process, however, that same Hollywood approached revealed religions in quite the opposite manner. Hollywood films espoused beliefs which violated Christian belief. Thematic messages reinforce anti-religious theories. The theory of evolution was powerfully imposed on the scientific content. For example, of anti-religious Darwinist propaganda dealt with the famous Stokes trial in 1925. Hollywood's attitude of opposition to revealed religions was the exact opposite of its attitude towards Buddhism. Buddhism was portrayed in a great many ways as a humane religion, attractive and full of peace. One of these films was 7 Pit, directed by Martin Scorsese and dealing with the life of the Dalai Lama, the chief Buddhist at Buddhist communities. Little Buddha, Leonardo Bertolucci, the life of Siddhartha Gautama, young children. What is more, one of these children was Western. The private lives also played a One of these was the famous actor Steven Seagal. The Nyingma school of Tibetan Buddhism declared Steven Seagal to be the reincarnation of a 15th century Lama. The famous actor Richard Gere, in addition to writing books promoting Buddhism, founded the Tibet House in New York. This Buddhist propaganda, which surrounds the Western world and has even in some Muslim countries, encouraged. That is because the social forces which are encouraging Buddhism find this twisted religion very compatible with another teaching, worldview. Buddhists believe in a constant process of change in nature. According to the doctrine of karma, a fish could come back as a mammal in a later life. A human being could come back as an insect. In other words, it's a transmigration of souls between species and between human. Close show that this with another Darwin's. One Buddhist researcher has described as follows the relation between Buddhism and evolution. In fact, Buddhist philosophy actually requires a The idea of unchanging species would not For this, Darwin is sympathetic toward and promote ever since the century. The first person to give voice to this admiration was Thomas Huxley, Darwin's strongest supporter. Huxley was an admirer of the idea of a creator. In Huxley's view, therefore, it was most compatible with Western civilization. He wrote these words on the subject. Belief in immortality a blunder, and hope of it a sin, which refutes own efforts for salvation. Certain thinkers who sought to impose materialist and atheist Europeans followed Huxley's path and took an interest in Buddhism. One of these was the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, an atheist who harbored a deep hatred of revealed religions. Such materialists as Huxley and Nietzsche shows the purpose underlying the present-day Buddhist propaganda. Portray Buddhism to add some spiritual values, albeit artificial ones, to non-believing society they wish to establish, by means of alternative false ones. Far Eastern religions are superstitious beliefs with no basis in God's revelation. People who become superstitious are true Christians should walk with God as commanded in the in Buddhism. That is one of the reasons for this religion's spread in the West. For instance, Buddhism forbids theft, urges people to help one another. All of this suggests that Buddhism possibly began as a religion founded on God's revelation, only to become corrupt with time. In the Quran, to every nation to deliver we have sent you warning. There is no community to which a warner has not come. That warning in Siddhartha Gautama, known as the founder of Buddhism. After him, however, people may have distorted this religion, and Buddhism lost its original features, assimilating various local myths superstitious religion really comes from a divine origin, it has by now entirely departed from it. It has been smothered by superstitious rituals, and it is now to lead people to the path. And existence of God, a pagan religion, a fanatical tradition which envisages people inflicting suffering on themselves. In this film, we have looked at the way that Buddhism, which some people regard with great longing, harbors very erroneous beliefs and practices. We have seen how the myths of reincarnation and karma mislead people. Religion is the way that it is based not on knowledge from God. This tradition created by human beings over the course of time and regards these as sacred. Buddhists and those who feel sympathetic towards this religion should consider these truths in detail. Liberate themselves from this. People who accept of the religion referred to in the Quran what they are doing is purposeless. The path that will lead people to the truth, happiness, and peace is that revealed by God. In other words, the religion of Islam. Islam brings people art and joy. It illuminates their souls. Despair. Indeed, thanks to this, nations which have been honored by Islam and sincerely lived according established one of the greatest civilizations in the history of the world in all fields. That is because Islam is the way revealed by God. The only means of salvation until the day of judgment lies in abiding by that path. As God This is my path, and it is straight, so follow it. Do not follow other ways, or you will become cut off from His way. That is what He instructs you to do, so that hopefully you may do your duty.